Hey friends, Kirsten here, and I'm so glad you're here today, tuning in from wherever you're tuning in from. I wanted to finally wrap up our little series on diet, emotions, and how that all fits together in our lifestyle. If you listened into part one, we talked a little bit about food and nutrition and how that can actually have a major impact on our emotional state of being. A lot of times we don't end up thinking that food actually connects to how we're feeling. We go and eat that Snickers bar and wonder a few hours later why we're feeling cranky and upset and not feeling so good, and blame it on something else eventually. And then part two, we talked about that element of how our emotions come in and play a part on what we choose to eat. If we're feeling down, we end up grabbing for food that's going to fulfill that craving. If we're feeling anxious, we can go grab for salty foods. If we're feeling sad, we can go grab for sugary foods. And how food can end up feeling as though it's satisfying a need. And food's actually designed to do that, but not the processed food. Those processed foods are scientifically engineered to come in and create hormones that are beyond our body's capability of creating. And so then we end up having even greater cravings than we were even created to have. And so then next time we need to meet that emotional need, we reach out for that food, and then it becomes this continual cycle. Then we have an emotional need because we're not creating that hormone. Anyways, you get the picture. So there's a lot of cycling that's happening in here. Things are connected. We are whole people, body, soul, and spirit. It's all connected. And so I wanted to tie that up again today in a bit of a picture at looking at a couple of other things that affect our emotions and emotional state. Obviously, there are a lot of things that do that, but we're kind of looking at our food and emotional state as one, and looking at how we can overcome barriers so that we can be healthy, so that we can walk in the dream and destiny that we're created for, and see how to do that. So today, some of the things that I'm going to be talking about, you may have heard already. But one of the things I noticed in talking with people, in coaching people, and even in my own personal journey is that a lot of times we just forget. We think that that person cutting us off on the freeway is the reason and the only reason I'm upset today, or the only reason I didn't sleep well is because of a deadline at work. But there are so many other factors at play, and I wanted to go through a few tips and tricks. Again, these are short, sweet, and to the point tips to help you kind of enter into that place where your body and emotional state can be healed, so that you can walk in wholeness, and so that you can really walk out those things. And there's more on my blog, wholelifefreedom.com, if you want to go into more of the research and more details on some of these things. So, one of the first things that I wanted to really look at is actually addressing some of the traumas, beliefs, wounds, lies that we have from our past. And sometimes we think about this too often, and sometimes we don't think about it enough. But I believe that there is an actual place that we can come to in the middle that is really helpful. Look back and go, is there something from 5 minutes ago? Is there something from 5 years ago, or from when I was 5, that is affecting today, right now? Not sure if you've seen the show This Is Us, but it's one of the things that I love about that show. As somebody who's been in emotional healing and counseling for a long time, I love that it goes back to their past moments and how that moment is affecting their decision making today. And that is the case with how we decide on what food to eat today. Isn't that funny? Just something as simple as food can be tied to emotional triggers from our past. And so it's important to kind of look at that. We don't want to get stuck in it and blame it. That's really key. You don't want to sit there and just go, oh, that's the reason why. Go ahead and eat the cake and move on. usually I like to say uncovering things that are in the shadows are simply allowing the light to shine in that shadow so that you can break free from it. And I've loved the analogy as well of you can't clean a house without looking at the dirt first. But you can't just look at the dirt and walk away and expect the house to get clean. Once you see it, you take out that dust mop, you take out the vacuum, you take out the broom, you throw the clothes in the hamper, you do those things and you take action. And that's a really key point is, okay, take a pause. And if you've watched any of my videos or read any of my blogs or podcasts, you know I'm really into taking a pause. Before you go and grab that bite of food, before you engage with that emotion, before you react, take a pause and ask, where is this coming from? What's the greater need happening? What need am I trying to meet right here? And we are like those Russian dolls that are stacked one on top of another. And we have a lot of past inside of us. You know, myself today is my 1-year-old self, my 2-year-old self, my 3-year-old self, and all of that is inside of me. And if those areas aren't healed, then they come out in various ways. So once you find an area that's saying, oh, that moment in my past is connected to why I'm going after this today, then you can go after healing with that. You can pray through it, you can go to counseling for it, you can pause and receive healing from it, you can journal about it, talk to a friend about it. There's a lot of ways to walk through that emotional healing. But the key right now today is unveiling the why behind these things. Okay, so getting the light to shine in those shadows of our past and allowing healing to come into that place. So another thing that we can do regularly is renewing our mind on a regular basis. Now, I have a whole article written about this with some in-depth steps, but the 3 things I want you to think about with renewing your mind. Now, why is renewing your mind important? First, because we need to have positive thoughts coming in our mind and out our mouth and flowing in our heart. And without that, any emotional battle, any emotional struggle becomes 10 times greater if all we're hearing and listening to and speaking are on a negative side of things. And so I like to give, 3 kind of thoughts is you want to look at what is coming in. And so what you're listening to, and that can be listening to podcasts, that can be listening to TV shows, movies, the news. It can also be listening to friends, people, counselors, work, family. And it can also be the types of things that you read, articles, books, websites, blogs, Facebook, social media. We want to be careful. And one of the rules that I look at is, not necessarily calling things, even with food. I don't like to say one is good and one is bad because there's that inner rebel inside of us sometimes that comes out. And if it thinks something is bad, it's going to want to go after bad first. And I don't know if you've experienced that, but I know enough people to know that that is definitely the case. So rather than calling something good or bad, looking at what's the fruit. Does reading this information, does, scrolling, and I consider social media part of reading because it's coming in your eyes. What are you letting in? Books, media, listening to videos, YouTube, all of that. Is it causing you to have joy, life, hope? Is it inspiring you to overcome obstacles? Is it causing your heart to bubble up? Is it causing your mind to think good things? What's the fruit of it? Or is it causing frustration, anger, upset? Is it subtle? Now, those are the things that you really want to watch for. How do you know if it's causing something? Well, when you walk away from it, how does it make you feel? And sometimes we blame our feelings on something else. But if you were happy, then you opened up your phone, started reading, closed your phone, you didn't even see anything negative, you walked away and started feeling negative, take a look back. Take a look at that and what is the fruit of that? And what do I mean? What seeds were planted and how does that make you feel? Is it frustration, fear, anxiety, anger, or is it love, life, hope, joy, and feeling like you want to overcome? So, what's coming inside of you? And then you also want to think about what's coming out of you. What kind of words are you speaking? Are you using words that declare life, or are they words that are speaking out? Now, you might call negative words reality, but there's two different realities to every situation. And there's one that you can speak out that is life-giving and full of life. And there's another that you can speak out that also doesn't give life. And there are all kinds of amazing studies on what your words really do to you and to the atmosphere around you. And it's really amazing. I definitely encourage you to look into that if that's something that you haven't heard before, to think about how the words coming out of your mouth are actually affecting you and bringing life or not. So next, last thing. So that's, declare with your mouth, declare what's coming out. You don't have to just declare it, but what's coming out speaking wise. So, and then we've got the input part. That was number 1, what's coming through your eyes and your ears. Lastly, number 3 is taking a moment to journal. And I know that word journal conjures up all kinds of things for a lot of people. What did I do during my day? And this is how I thought, and this is what I'm thinking. But really, if you want to go deep in emotional healing and breaking free from barriers and stepping into a new level of life for yourself, you want to journal things out. You want to start with everything that's in you. Don't avoid the negative. This is the place where you don't want to avoid the negative. You want to let it out. Morning Pages is something by Julia Cameron, written the artist way. And that's an excellent way to do it. There are a lot of other templates and ways of doing it now, but the real key is being honest, open and vulnerable in a space that no one is going to judge you. And you will see, if you take the time, get those words out, then take time to speak life over yourself as you're writing. Get all the negative out, get all the things out that you just thinking about, and it's coming through you. Then take time to say positive things over that. Speak life, write the truth, break off lies, and see what happens as you just let all of that come through. And many, many, many people have seen breakthrough in that. So I want to just encourage you in that space to really consider how you're engaging with your mind, engaging with the space where the most thoughts come through. The good news is that you can actually transform your mind. It's called neuroplasticity. And so whether today you're starting out with some negative thoughts, it's been quite a wild atmosphere out there today in the last few months. So it might not be all your own thoughts. It might be coming from other people. But wherever you're starting, I know that everyone experiences a negative thought or two coming at them each day. So wherever you're coming from, today is the day to capture those thoughts, renew your mind, release the negative thoughts, and start bringing in some positivity. And watch how it transforms the way you think about your emotions, about your food, about life that comes at you, stressors that come at you, and it will really be powerful. And if you want to go deeper into that, I've got a whole other talk and article on that again. So loving it. Anyways, okay, last but not least, just a couple of lifestyle things that we want to look at just to make sure that we are looking at these things. Again, sometimes we think that our craving for that food is all our fault and it's all based on willpower, But really, there are a lot of things that we can do on a regular basis to help set ourselves up for success. So that's my dream and desire for you, is to see you set up for success. And so take an honest look at your stress levels. How are they? How is the new working world and working environment for you, or your new home life, and how is that feeling and going for you? Is there a lot of stress there? If so, then we don't want to just say, I don't know why this is happening. We want to go, okay, how can I first manage and deal with that stress? And then we'll see all these other things. Stress even affects our weight and causes us to gain weight. And so looking at that is really important as we move forward. And, as you know, I'm a nutrition coach and health coach, and so nutritional awareness is really key here. If we're not getting the nutrients that our body needs, we will not have emotions that are successful. I mean, you might be very skilled at thinking positively and being on a high on a regular basis, but eventually that nutritional deficiency will come and hit us at some point. And so, and it just is a lot easier when your body is getting the nutrients that it needs. Your stress levels will reduce, your emotions will be higher because your brain and your body are getting the chemicals that it needs. So take an honest look at the nutritional balance in your foods, making sure you're getting enough water, enough vegetables, enough fruits, and those kind of things, which are super helpful. I always love the G bombs that Joel Fuhrman talks about, getting in all of the foods that we need. And those G bombs are specifically really helpful for cancer fighting, but they're also really helpful for renewing the body, helping our body reduce stress, and helping us get the nutrients that we need. More info in the post as that comes along. So this is a fun one. And again, I have another post on this as well, but grounding or earthing is really about getting your body into nature. And that can look like, for some of us, we don't have a lot of nature around. It can look like simply going to your sidewalk out in front of your house, putting your feet in that grass. And that has been shown to majorly reduce inflammation in our bodies. And inflammation in our bodies causes a whole host of chronic issues, ailments, stress levels, weight gain, all of that. So it's a really great reason to get out there, put your feet in some grass for 20 minutes, and just experience a little bit of peace, meditation, and breath work. And with that, the last one would be taking some time for breath work and stillness each day. And specifically doing that in the morning is really helpful, making sure, if you've got a rushed morning, taking an extra 5-10 minutes to just be still, be thankful, pray, and just breathe and let your body be at peace to start your day. And I recommend doing that at the end of the day as well. Just taking a moment to be grateful, to pause, to breathe, and to let your body just have a peaceful moment. Let that breath come in and bring healing. And so with that, I hope this was helpful for you. And I'm excited to hear. I would love to hear your stories of overcoming these things and walking in freedom and wholeness. So I'm blessing you today to walk out this journey of freedom and wholeness.